Thank you for joining me today. It's Brian Gubernick, and welcome to the No Days Off podcast, where we believe that every single day brings a new opportunity to get better. And today we're going to focus on our health. As you can see from the title of today's podcast, we're going to talk about the ways that you can remain sharp and ultimately prevent cognitive decline. I want to be a little bit more specific, though, what we're really talking about here today. We're actually going to talk a little bit about dementia, and we're going to talk about Alzheimer's. And I know those sound like very different topics than we've ever covered here at the No Days Off podcast. And I guess they kind of are. Yes, we talk about health, but I've never really talked around this particular subject. But I thought it was an important one because I think most of us have had somebody important to us, maybe a grandparent, a parent, someone we love, the parents of friends. We've had somebody that's been impacted by dementia. And we're seeing quite a rise, I think, of it as we kind of progress in our respective worlds. And there are things that we can absolutely do to limit cognitive decline. And even though I may be wrong on some of this, we should still give it a crack. We should still give it an opportunity because cognitive decline is serious, alters our life, and leads to, some challenges later on. Let's talk about some of this though, right? Because most of us think that dementia is something that happens when we're a lot older. But it's just not true. The choices we make today at 30 or 40 or 50 years old or even younger, they can actually determine whether you get it, dementia later in your life. It's on the rise. Alzheimer's is one of the fastest growing diseases worldwide. But again, the good news here is I think we have more control than you may have thought before you turned today's podcast on to listen to. So let's break down dementia and Alzheimer's, how they're different, and then we'll get to specific things you could do to reduce your risk, okay? So what is dementia? Dementia is not a disease itself. It's actually an umbrella term for symptoms like memory loss, confusion, and difficulty with language or problem solving. It happens when brain cells are damaged. And when these brain cells are damaged, it leads to issues with thinking and memory and decision making. Several diseases can cause dementia, and one of those diseases includes Alzheimer's. We'll put a pin in it, though. We're going to come back to Alzheimer's. There's some common symptoms of dementia, and if you've, again, been around anybody with it, you've probably seen a lot of this. Forgetting important names and dates and tasks, having difficulty solving problems or making decisions, getting lost in familiar places, personality changes, mood swings, struggling with language, like forgetting words, losing train of thought. These are the symptoms of dementia. Now, Alzheimer's is the most common form of dementia. Alzheimer's is a specific disease, and it's what causes 60 to 80% of dementia cases. Alzheimer's is progressive as well, meaning that the symptoms can worsen over time. And there's a specific cause associated with it around plaques and all these other things going on in the brain that I'm not nearly qualified enough to speak around. But these things lead to cell death in the brain. Now, early signs of Alzheimer's are mild forgetfulness and misplacing things. But then in the later stages, there's severe memory loss, maybe even an inability to recognize loved ones. So there's, again, key differences between dementia and Alzheimer's. Remember, dementia is an umbrella term, but Alzheimer's is a specific brain disease. Dementia can be caused by different conditions, whereas Alzheimer's has a very specific type of cause. Now, can we reduce our risk? And that's what I want to focus on. This is about us improving our health, getting better every single day. And I want us to get better in this one particular area because we can all make lifestyle choices that significantly lower our risk. That's what research shows. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm not licensed to give any sort of medical advice. I am just great at research. And this happens to be a topic I'm intrigued by at this very moment. I think we can look at blue zones. You've probably heard of this. the places where the lowest rates of dementia in the world exist, and also where the people live the longest and healthiest in these blue zones, we can look at blue zones and say, what are they doing there in Okinawa, Japan, or in Sardinia, Italy, or in spot in Costa Rica, or even Loma Linda, California? They share common habits that keep their brains sharp into their 90s and even their hundreds. We can study those individuals. So let's go through 10 ways. Let's get into the list. What are the 10 ways for you to reduce your risk of cognitive decline, of dementia? I think number one, like people in blue zones do, you've got to move your body daily. Exercise is proven to reduce dementia risk by 30 to 40%. Even walking 30 minutes a day helps. So if it's strength training or balance exercises or activities like yoga, they all improve brain health. 30 to 40% reduction in dementia risk if you're moving your body every single day. That should be the number one thing right out the gate. Number two, diet. Follow a brain healthy diet. Now, again, you want to go do research this, but diets like the Mediterranean diet, high in leafy greens, berries, nuts, fish, olive oil. These are brain healthy diets. I think we could all do a little bit better job with respect to, serving our brains. But I think in terms of following a brain healthy diet, I would also say, it goes without, no matter what diet you're following, avoid ultra processed foods, avoid sugar, avoid trans fats. All of these contribute to brain inflammation. We've got to knock that stuff off. So avoid ultra processed foods and sugars and trans fats. Again, they create more inflammation in the brain, which puts us at risk for dementia. So number one, move your body daily. Number two, follow a brain healthy diet. Number three, stay socially connected. This is a really interesting one. Loneliness increases the risk of dementia. So prioritize real life connections. You got to join groups. You got to have weekly meetups. You got to engage in meaningful conversation. Not all of us want to be socially connected. I get it. But recognize that loneliness, lack of relationships, increases the risk of dementia. So it's just another reason, aside from the happiness study that we've talked about here at the No Days Off podcast, it's another reason for us to stay socially connected. Number four, I love this one. Keep learning. Keep challenging your brain. Reading, learning new skills, playing an instrument. All of these things strengthen cognitive reserve. Puzzles, strategy games, even learning a new language helps you build new brain pathways. And this leads to a reduction in dementia risk. Keep learning and challenging your brain. Number five, prioritize quality sleep. Man, this shows up in everything we talk about. Deep sleep helps clear toxins from the brain. Those toxins that are linked to Alzheimer's. We have to get sleep. What that means, for most of us, it's probably 7 to 9 hours per night, and have a consistent sleep schedule. Prioritizing quality sleep is a substantial thing we have to do to impact our health, our brain health, and limit our risk of dementia. Number six, manage blood sugar. Manage insulin levels. Alzheimer's is actually sometimes called type 3 diabetes because high blood sugar damages the brain. So we've got to reduce processed carbs and sugar and focus on whole foods. This is not necessarily the most cost-effective way to do things, but whole foods, it matters. Regulate your blood sugar by reducing processed carbs and processed sugars and things like that. Number seven, protect your heart. Protect your heart. Cardiovascular health equals brain health. So high blood pressure, cholesterol, obesity, these things all increase dementia risk. A strong heart means better blood flow to the brain. And that keeps the brain sharp. Number eight, reduce exposure to toxins like microplastics and air pollution if you can. There's some recent studies, some really interesting studies around microplastics in the brain and how they're linked to cognitive decline. So avoid, if you're into this, and I've been pretty particular about this one, microplastics, avoiding plastic containers, filtering water, trying to minimize exposure to just pollution, things like that. We have to reduce exposure to toxins. Number nine, manage your stress. Practice some mindfulness. Chronic stress impacts us in all sorts of ways. One thing it does is shrink the hippocampus, which is the brain's memory center. So we've got to reduce our stress. Meditation, deep breathing, even simple walks in nature lower cortisol levels and protect the brain. And then lastly, number 10, in the 10 things that we could do to reduce our likelihood of dementia and cognitive decline, avoid head injuries, avoid concussions. I know that sounds kind of funny to say, but protect your brain. Wear a helmet. Try to avoid falling. Take care of your neck and spine. I'll give you an example. I go snowboarding now. I can't do it quite like I used to. I'm thinking about protecting my body and protecting my head a little differently than maybe I used to. So yeah, I'm wearing a helmet, but I'm also making choices. I'm still having a blast. I'm still going fairly hard, but I'm being selective in what I'm doing to avoid falling, because these things damage the brain is not reversible. So in closing, dementia, cognitive decline, they're not inevitable parts of aging. They're not. I think the choices that you make today can significantly impact your brain health for decades to come. So my challenge for you is to pick one or two of these habits that I talked about here today and start them. Start using them. Pick one or two. That's all I'm asking of these 10. And there's a lot of good ones here, from moving your body daily to challenging your brain more than you currently do, prioritizing quality sleep to protecting your heart, through improving your cardiovascular health. There's so many different things we could do here. And just in taking a couple steps, you can reduce your cognitive decline for sure. That's all I have for you today, the No Days Off podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, every single day brings a new opportunity to get better. So let's get after it.